So Patrick Meehan is a Republican from Pennsylvania, and I'm going to tell you a story of how he was accused of sexual harassment. He did a settlement, although he calls it severance, and that is a legitimate dispute. And this is the kind of story that begins with a ha-ha, but let's hear the whole story first. Okay, so first, New York Times reported it, and they explained Representative Patrick Meehan, a Pennsylvania Republican who has taken a leading role in fighting sexual harassment in Congress, used thousands of dollars in taxpayer money to settle his own misconduct complaint after a former aide accused him last year of making unwanted romantic overtures to her, according to several people familiar with the settlement. Now look, I'm not shy about saying ha-ha. And I just did it in the last story about the evangelical Christians who are saying family values don't matter because of Donald Trump. And boy, this has got ha-ha written all over it. So here's a guy in charge of ethics for the Republicans and one leading the charge on the issue of sexual harassment, and it turns out he used taxpayer money to settle a case. But let's be fair, let's dive into the details and find out what the whole story is. Meehan, 62, had long expressed interest in the personal life of the aide that was involved here, who was decades younger and had regarded the congressman as a father figure, according to 3 people who worked with the office and 4 others with whom she had discussed her tenure there. So I'm going to quote at length here, New York Times and this Philly papers as well, because they did a wonderful job of covering this. But after the woman became involved in a serious relationship with someone outside the office last year, Mr. Meehan professed his romantic desires for her, first in person and then in a handwritten letter. And he grew hostile when she did not reciprocate, the people familiar with her time in the office said. So we're going to give you some of the details of that letter because we now have the letter. He's the one who gave it in, and it's a mixed bag. Now, him growing hostile is a significant issue. All these are significant issues, and you make the call on how you view it, but let me keep going. Life in the office became untenable, so she initiated the complaint process, started working from her home, and ultimately left the job. She later reached a confidential agreement with Mr. Meehan's office that included a settlement for an undisclosed amount to be paid from Mr. Meehan's congressional office fund. Okay, so well, then he goes and starts talking to the rest of the press once the New York Times breaks this story. So is any of this true? Well, it turns out no, a lot of it is true. So he said that he had developed, quote, an affection for the aide, quote, in a way in which I was struggling to make sure that I would never put that into our professional relationship. Now, whether you believe him, that's a different story, but he says, no, I was into her, but I wanted to make sure that it didn't interfere with our professional relationship. Not so credible. So he said, now talking to the Philadelphia Inquirer, he said after professing his feelings to her one night last spring in Washington, he said they exchanged a hug, as he said they often did, but maybe longer that night than needed to be. Okay, that's problematic. Now look, I don't know what happened in that hug, and my ultimate conclusion here is going to be to let this actually proceed in terms of an investigation that they're doing in the ethics committee, as they probably should have done with Al Franken, and see where it comes out, because we don't know all the details, and she's not talking, and her being uncomfortable with the situation is the most understandable thing in the world. Her wanting to leave, her wanting to get a settlement. She had to use her own private lawyer, which she didn't have money for. She, I think, it appears based on the reporting, she took all the settlement money and basically gave it to her lawyers and legal costs, et cetera. She didn't have anything to gain here. So just that's super important context as well. But if it's a hug where his hands wander, gone, you got to go. If it's a long hug, I don't know what to make of that, and that's why the details are incredibly important. And now the letter. So he finds out, Meehan does, that she's now dating someone else. He don't like that, as you'll see he's admitted to that a little later too. And one of the things he does is he writes her this letter. So what's in it? He says, as you bask in this moment of extreme joy, I want to share with you my sentiment of how richly it is deserved. You are kind and sensitive and caring and infectious with your laugh. You are and have been complete partner to me, and you have brought me much happiness. Now that's weird to call her a partner, but she's a very important part of the office, and they've been it is arguable that they were partners in the office in that sense. He says she was a gatekeeper at the office, not some low-level staffer that you would think is even weirder to call a partner. But this is where I began to pause in the story. I want to do the story because I'm like, oh, perfect, a Republican in charge of ethics and sexual harassment who used taxpayer money to give out money for sexual harassment. But I thought the letter was going to be damning. I thought it was going to be like, hey, I'd like to do this and that to you. No, it was more schmoopy than anything else. By the way, as a boss, a 62-year-old guy with a much younger, it doesn't even matter what your ages are. Don't be schmoopy with people who work underneath you. But schmoopy is different than I want to do this to you and that to you, which is what I was expecting. So he went on to say, as we travel our paths together, I am comforted that there is more unwritten. Well, you see where he's going with that. That's not good. Okay, so telling her, as we travel together in this path, maybe our whole story isn't written yet. Nah, don't do that, don't do that, terrible idea, it's totally wrong. So he said that he sought to remain loyal to his wife and that he used his office funds to settle the harassment claim so he and the aide could move on and keep the issue private. I believe that he wanted to keep the issue private for a lot of reasons. The whole point of like, oh no, you're my soulmate and you're this and you're that and I'm so into you, but I want to remain loyal to my wife. But look, that's why I pause here, because him wanting to, whether he wants to remain loyal to his wife or not, that's between him and his wife. He's a Republican, I don't agree with him on anything, but I don't care if he fell in love with someone else. That's not an issue that matters to his constituents. Falling in love with someone that works underneath you, that's a different issue, and that's the issue at hand, and that's why I think this is a different scenario here. He explained, I did not seek a relationship. What I did was to try to communicate that I was struggling with the idea that I might if I wasn't able to keep things in the proper perspective. Come on. Okay, if she had said yes, you would have been all over it. It's super obvious from the letter and everything else that you say. I get it, you're married, you got 3 kids, so you got to backpedal. I understand that. And by the way, that's the same thing I said about Clinton. Like, look, oh my God, he lied about sex. What else was he gonna do? Was he gonna be like, oh, by the way, yes, I slept with Monica Lewinsky. I'd like the whole world to know. No, so me and backpedaling here, I get it, in regards to his wife. So he said he felt bad about acting rough in his office, but said that was a result of the healthcare vote when he faced intense pressure from both sides of the debate. Now, this is the one I call the most BS on. So obviously, I don't know what he did. It seems like he yelled. That's why you need an investigation. What did he yell? What does rough mean? But the excuse that, oh, well, I was under a lot of stress because of a vote. No, he got pissed that she had a boyfriend. He was in love with her, and so he took it out on her. That's where it appears to definitely cross the line, but only from the things that we know, and we don't even know her side, right? Hence an investigation. Okay, sometimes I have tendency to lash out to others on the staff, and you go hardest on the ones that you care the most about. No, that sounds like a domestic abuse situation, right? Now, there's no charge that he hit her or touched her other than the hug, so I want to be super clear about that. That's why this is not necessarily an open and shut case. It might still be once you get into the investigation, but the whole talk about you take it out most on the people you care about. No, that's terrible talk. Okay, he said, I started to talk to her about my reaction to her new relationship. And selfishly, I was thinking about what this was going to mean to me. Okay, I get it, dude, you're totally in love. Anyway, that she was leaving and that this was going to change the dynamic, which was very special in my office, and also somebody that I was emotionally close to by virtue of the time that we spent together in 7 years. Okay, this has got, that part of the story seems very clear. He was totally, and I don't want you to take these words in the wrong way. He was smitten with her. That doesn't mean that it was innocent. You don't get to be smitten with someone and then act out on it. You get to be smitten in your own head, anything in any way that you want, but you don't get to act out on it on subordinates. But what does it mean to act out in this case? So let's continue. Meehan said that he told the aide that I was a happily married man and I was not interested in a relationship, particularly not any sexual relationship, but we were soulmates. Dude, you don't tell anybody that you're a soulmate unless you want to have a relationship. Like it's not like you're passing some person on the street, like, oh, by the way, you're my soulmate. Anyway, no, I don't want to even talk to you. Let's keep going. Of course, that's the thing you say to someone when you're in love with them. So, okay, he said, when I discussed her boyfriend, I stated that I wished I could be better at accepting it right now, but I probably needed a bit of time. Why would your boss need any time for him to accept that you have a boyfriend? First of all, what business is it of his? Second of all, why does he need to process that for so long? So this part of the story is super clear. He also said he would repay the public funds used to settle the case if the ethics committee concluded he harassed her. No, dude, you should repay it no matter what. Even if it, look, I guess if it was a settlement, no, that's in the purview of the House and his job, right? I'm sorry, if it was a severance, right? But if it's a settlement, I don't care if you did it so your wife didn't find out or whatever. The taxpayers have nothing to do with that. If it's a settlement, you should pay it no matter what the ethics investigation concludes. Okay, Meehan has been pushing for protections for domestic violence victims since his time as a local prosecutor. This is the New York Times explaining this. And some people get on him for this and say he's a hypocrite. In Congress, he has sponsored legislation mandating the reporting of sexual violence. He's a member of a bipartisan congressional task force to end such violence. No, on that one, I'm going to defend him. I don't think that means he's a hypocrite. If he had done any kind of violence, then yes, then he would be an enormous, terrible hypocrite. And he could still be a hypocrite. If the investigation finds out that hug wasn't really a hug, and he went in any way in that direction, then he's a giant hypocrite. Or he fell in love with her, sexually harassed her in ways he didn't even realize he was doing, but were definitely put her in an incredibly uncomfortable and perhaps hostile work environment. But that doesn't mean that the good work he did on domestic violence, and again, I got no love for this guy. I don't agree with this guy at all on policy or politics. But the good work that he did in combating domestic violence is not a thing you count against him, it's a thing you count for him. Okay, back to Meehan, and we're almost done here. He said that I would find later that that was not something that she was comfortable with really hurts me. This was a person who specifically invited communication with me so that she would be able to have the ability to be there for me. So a lot of people are upset about that too, but he's saying she invited the communication. But a lot of the headlines are misleading. They say, oh, she was inviting it. No, but he didn't say she was inviting the sexual harassment. He said she was inviting the letter. I have no idea if that's true or not. My guess is it's not true, but again, you need the investigation to figure that out. And he said that it hurt him that she wasn't comfortable with any of this. So finally, his last quote is, I didn't do anything wrong. Now, he might genuinely believe that and then realize, no, it is wrong for a guy who is the boss of a woman at work to say, oh, by the way, you're my soulmate, and then get angry when she doesn't reciprocate, and to make her so uncomfortable she leaves work. And I think that's why this movement is really interesting and productive and great in so many ways. Because I think guys like me and some of them genuinely didn't know that that was the wrong thing to do. And if you're at home going, no way, that's crazy. I hear you, I understand that, right? But trust me that some of them don't understand that. He's like, what? I was just in love with her. What are you getting on me for? Yeah, but you can't put her in a situation where you're yelling at her because she has a boyfriend. That's crazy. By the way, it might be way worse than that. So look, they're complicated issues. I think you've got to be fair to everyone involved. At the end of the day, I didn't feel good about this story. It wasn't a story that I walk away thinking, oh, what a awful hypocrite, etc. I walk away thinking he should repay the money. They should definitely do an investigation of him and find out what exactly he did, and perhaps remove him from office if some of this is proven out. But it's not a thing where I go, what a monster, and he should be tarred and feathered, and no one should even bother to do an investigation. I think that, look, even if he's kicked out, the conversation is more important than any one situation like this, where guys like me and go, oh, right, yes, I didn't realize it was making her uncomfortable, and you might think that that's disingenuous, and in his case, it might be totally disingenuous. But at least for people to start thinking that way so that they know, don't do that to subordinates, don't use your power in that way, because you're affecting people, you're affecting their careers. And even if he never gets it, it's important. If we have the conversation nationally, millions of people will be at least aware of a situation that they were not adequately aware of before. That's why I think the movement is great. If you want to get the whole Young Turks show every single day, become a member, tytnetwork.com/join. And once you do, you'll be saying,
you know, I'm like a smart person.
Or you might say,
I think it's weird.
Or you might say,
oops.
No, that won't be that one. It won't be that one. It'll be great, trust me. tytnetwork.com/join.